Eugene Henley, also known as Big U, is a very well-known figure in California gang culture and the music industry. Some people compare Big U to Suge Knight, but when you take a closer look, you'll begin to see they are vastly different. With the only thing they have in common is being two sides of the same coin in the same city. One being a blood from the mob Paru, and the other one being a part of the Rolling 60s Crips. Both are black, bald, and physically imposing when placed in rooms with a certain demographic of people. Having that kind of muscle can come in handy in a business as shady as music, or it can cause problems. But this is where the comparisons take a screeching halt. Suge wasn't a gang member in his youth. He was kept out of trouble, even sent to college to play football, then going pro for a year, to later end up doing security for Bobby Brown. Big U was a much different story. Being born in the late 60s from parents that came from Mississippi, he was from a second generation of Crips behind Tookie Williams. He was a second generation Crip and a first generation Rolling 60. He was in the gang before it was called the Rolling 60s. They were called the Arlington Boys. The Rolling 60s would end up being one of the largest black gangs in Los Angeles, with members numbering from 4,000 to 5,000. He went to prison in 1992 for robbery of an undercover sheriff for 33 pounds of booger sugar, aka Snow White. This was at the height of the Rampart corruption scandal. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison. He did 13 years inside and walked off 10 on the street without going back for new charges. He was released on parole in 2004. Big U started a non-profit organization called Development Options in Los Angeles, with directives for gang intervention and outreach programs for kids. While he was in prison, Corrupt kept him informed and up to date about the music industry. So once released, he could hit the ground running. He started Unique Music Entertainment. Big U said himself, had he been around, Death Row wouldn't have had such a dominant period.
You get out of prison, and then you start getting involved in the music industry.
Mm-hmm.
And Corrupt was the first artist that you started working with?
Corrupt, I was messing with in 1990.
Yeah, so that was the first artist?
First artist, Corrupt was the first artist.
Was he affiliated with Death Row yet or no?
No, it wasn't no Death Row.
Okay.
It probably would never even been a Death Row if I'd have been home.
Okay.
Fact.
I had Big U on Vlad TV. Hold on. He said something very interesting about Death Row, and I wanted to get your take on it.
Okay.
So, were you out when Death Row started to build up and Corrupt started?
Not at all.
You were in jail the whole time?
It never happened when I had no Death Row.
What do you mean?
I love Suge to death, but he definitely wouldn't have been moving around L.A. like that. Because in L.A. at the time, you wasn't saying blood. You wasn't wearing no red at that time. That wasn't happening. And you definitely weren't moving like that without major situations. You know what I mean? And I think what was able to give rise to Suge, to the growth in Suge to move like he was the riots. The unity from the riots and dudes not tripping and wanting to gang bang on each other. That's really what gave rise to Death Row. Because when that happened, more people started moving in like they was moving. But nah.
Based on what you heard, explain, because I feel like I don't totally understand what Big U was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that was the point of him saying it like that.
No, I got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
So explain it to me from your point of view.
Well,
because he basically said there wouldn't have been a Death Row had he been, to the level where it got at, the way Suge was moving around, if Big U didn't go to prison.
Yeah, Big U was a monster in the streets at that time. He still has a very high level of respect, not saying he lost any of it, but then he was more reactionary and proactive with the cripping. And, 60s are a major force. And I guess he's probably saying Corrupt wouldn't have been over there, maybe, to make that addition to Death Row. And at the same time, you know, Suge, like he said, the riots, the peace treaty, you know, that gave an opening to a lot of people to start socializing with one another.
Snoop Dogg's album, Doggy Style, made its debut November 23rd, 1993. Big U would already be in prison. By the time he got out of prison, Death Row would be declining. By then, a young Nipsey Hussle would be making his way into music.
Gutter land, we all hustling for that upper land, where we raised by our mothers and no other man. Through the shades, granny watching, she don't understand, but through the days found a plot to end that hunger, man. And through the days, coppers watching undercover vans. Mama at work for the man while I assert my plan. The Glock 40 or the Nina, I serve like Serena and concrete. Urban arenas, Cali got a hold on us. It's like my soul is controlled by demons and gold, and like my feeling from my foe, can't tell my friend from my foe. My bitches from the O's, truth from the lies, and that's all I suppose. It's future for me, it's not seeming too stable. I got the rhymes able and I'm Kane, and yes indeed I get Kane with the able with the cane. What's my name? Say it, and I still remain off the Richter. The rhymes never written, it's real, ain't got no deal. I'm 17, I'm up on the hills and still respect me. My name get respect in the hood. I'm destined for dollar bills, riches, and Fleetwoods, trying to roll the street indiscreet with my peeps blowing on like green lime leaves and get it, creasing my T's and my khaki, it's me. Creasing my T's and my khaki, it's me.
Yeah, on that side, nigga. VV 2003.
Me and my folks from that
Sure.
Yeah, shit.
What you doing up in here, man?
Feeling the essence, the ambiance, you know what I mean?
But at the age of 23 when he signed, he wasn't aware of being managed by Big U, while being signed to his label in a production deal was a conflict of interest. Meaning your manager works for you as an artist, not the other way around. Your manager's job is to seek deals that benefit the artist and his interests 100% of the time. If the manager is also the label owner, everything will be done in a way to benefit the label, not the artist. Some would argue that Nip's talent, look, and overall likability was all he needed to make it into the music industry. There's certain factors that have to be present for an artist to sell music, and Nip had them all. Big U was 100% aware of this. These things just needed to be cultivated into what we ended up seeing by Victory Lap. But before he got to his Victory Lap, his mission would be made a lot harder by a certain group of people. After Big U got Nip on Tupac's album, he couldn't take Nip to the next level. Instead of allowing Steve Lobel to fully manage Nip, since he was also signed to Unique Music under a 25% publishing deal, he split 20% of his management fees in half with Steve Lobel. Had Nip taken this to court, he would have won because this is called double dipping. It's illegal to do. Taking Big U to court wasn't something that was going to happen, which is another way he took advantage of the situation. In February '09, Game had the LAX tour. Nip caught Game slipping in a red light in Rolling 60's territory. Being the acute businessman he was, he presented Game with a copy of his mixtape instead of banging on it.
This time, like, I'm Doctor's Advocate is out. I'm 2 albums in. I'm not going nowhere. I would drive through LA. So I would get off on Crenshaw, take Crenshaw all the way down to Wilshire. It was like a Honda Civic in front of me. They stopped. Who on the corner? I seen a bunch of Crips coming to, my car. Nip was walking up on my car. It was him and who I know now to be J Stone Renpaul. He pulled out a CD. A Nip with a demo. Nip looked in the car. He was like, "Hey, cuz, my name Nip." I called him. I was like, "Yo, Nip, you got a number on here?" He was like, "It's on the back, cuz." So I took the CD, I put it in, and I'm like, man, this Nip sound like a fucking lyrical like Snoop. Not sound like Snoop, but, and I just seen the Nip, he looked like Snoop. Right. So that's the first thing I saw. I was like, man, this look like Snoop. Later on, we end up doing songs and stuff. So, Wack brought him to the studio with Big U and Steve Lobel. Yeah. And we did They Roll and a few other songs that night. And Nip would never let me forget that, man.
Game could have tossed it, but he chose to listen to it, and he liked it. So he asked Nipp to be on his tour. In the process of this tour that he got himself on, Big U, his manager, gets a mobile home from his weight-selling friend that is on the FBI hot list, which caused the bus to be raided, stripped down, and sent back on the road. What was inside the mobile home had been taken out by the feds. Big U's friend took the charges. At that point, you are the reason things might not happen.
Mobile home in my wife's name, they thought it was him, his wife. Right. Feds hit us everywhere we go. We thinking it's just normal hip hop shit. We going up to Oregon. That we get all the paperwork. They took the motherfucking radiator cap off, took the motherfucker apart, stuck us in I can't remember where we was for 3 days. They took the motherfucking scan it from the router to the tutor, found what they wanted on it, put it back together, gave it to us. I flew back home. We get hit. I get hit at home. They had 21 people. They think they got him. Anyway, make a long story short, he ended up turning himself in, take the case off all of us. He get life.
While almost getting the artist that you were supposed to help arrested and potentially charged for something that he didn't do. Once that happened, the relationship between Big U and Nipsey began to get strained. Because it was at this time...
Blind can't lead the blind, bro.
Yes,
Somebody
sir.
gotta have a vision.
Yes, sir.
And you gotta follow who got the vision. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
if you
sir.
stuck on stupid, I ain't gonna judge you or have no disrespect for you, but I'm
gonna be over here.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna follow you or take heed to your opinion. You're gonna have to follow what I'm doing.
I heard
and
that.
after a while, that way of thinking versus this way of thinking, more people lean toward this way because of the results.
Mm-hmm.
He realized he had his best interests at heart. Big U claims there were no problems, but that's not the case. This is when Big U took back his music equipment.
I left the music industry. Me and Nipsey had a fallout. He had my equipment, and I wanted to use my equipment. He got mad because I got my equipment back. So then that's when our conflict started. I ended up getting the equipment back and said, I'm going to move it right here at my shop on 43rd and Crenshaw. And then everybody can get there all the time. Nipp, you can get to when you want to. So he got mad. You ain't gonna get on my way, you in my way, bro. He ain't like that. He's supposed to make a diss song about me. Well, I ain't no rapper, I'm a scrapper. So, we end up having to come talk about that. Pull up the homies, and Nipp admit it's wrong, but still there's some consequences to your wrong. I came to pick him up that morning so he can get his discipline. And his brother got in the way, talking about my brother not going nowhere. If I was his brother, I'd have did the same thing. Like, you're not going nowhere with these niggas. I would have did the same shit. But I mean, you not from 60s though. And you're not from the hood, so, you can't really speak on hood business. And really, that's really what happened. Me and Nipp talked that night.
Before Nipp and Big U had friction, there was a young lady from their section that used to be signed to Death Row, named SGK. She now worked at a radio station. She wanted to help Nipsey because she believed in his talent. And she also wanted to help Big U's organization by connecting him with billionaires that she gained access to by working in the industry. Instead of seeing that this was an opportunity to get into meetings that he could normally not get into, he attempted to work around her so that he could control the money.
I got a call a couple of days later that Big U had put a hit out on me.
Oh, wow.
And so a few people called and told me, but one person that called me was Monique Slaughter. And we quit being friends because she was going around telling people that Big U had put a hit out on me.
Oh, wow.
And that was like, wow, like, you put a hit out on me because what? I took up for myself because I'm not going to let you punk me. Okay, that's fine.
Wow.
I'll handle that accordingly. So it's stuff like that, but I'm not scared of that man, Adam.
How different do you start moving once you realize there might be a hit on you?
I'm moving the same because I'm not walking in fear. I can't. I did that for years dealing with this man.
When that wasn't possible, he tried to get physical. Not to get the deal done, but to exert power over what he sees as his jurisdiction for business, meaning anything connected to a person from the hood, from a cut of the robberies to high-stakes gambling games connected to famous athletes that took place in Los Angeles.
That's easy. That's easy.
Wait, no.
How you beat me? Who was my man? Who was my man? Hey, was my man. Man, they want to keep talking this A, B shit. Yeah.
I better quit.
They recounted that a large buy-in dice game occurred in Los Angeles in June 2019. The game involved the professional boxer AB, presumably Adrian Bronner, AB's associates, and several prominent NBA players. According to cooperating witness 1, AB and his associates fixed the game and cheated the NBA players out of millions of dollars using quote-unquote teased dice.
Bronner reportedly is said to have cheated a current NBA All-Star out of $1.5 million and a former player out of $5 million in the game.
Dice and Adrian Bronner is mentioned in the Big U indictment as a guy that worked $6.5 million out of NBA players with trick dice, and then Big U had to be called in to get it back. CW1 recounted a large buy-in dice game occurring in LA in June 2019. The game involved professional boxer AB. Adrian Bronner is known to be a big dice shooter, and several prominent NBA players. According to the confidential witness, Adrian Bronner and his associates fixed the game and cheated the NBA players out of millions of dollars using teased dice. Following the game, Henley directed a group of Big U Enterprise associates to rough up AB, who did not check in with Henley, and to get the money back from him on behalf of the cheated NBA players. Multiple members of the Rolling 60s ultimately arrived, and Henley used them to press AB.
C1 told authorities a large buy-in dice game in LA in June 2019. The game involved a professional boxer identified only as AB, the associates of the several prominent NBA players, according to CW1. AB and his associates fixed the game, cheating the NBA players out of millions of dollars using teased dice. Now, there's a lot of footage of this nigga online gambling, yo. He be rolling them dice.
Okay. It's about to be a good night.
Where them dice at?
It's about to be a good night.
We're gonna get on them dice.
It's gonna be a
good gambling. Good gambling. You got to give me a shake.
good gambling. I ain't tell you to shake.
Nigga, I shook on every roll.
I mean, I know some dudes, son, that's all they do. You know what I mean? They drive trucks, but when they uptown, they like to play the casino.
Big U will end up being accused of the death of Fats later on in the future as well, in September of 2017.
Your best friends can turn on you and get jealous when they see something, you know, and it turns into a group of people trying to hold you back.
That's another one of the big struggles you're gonna deal with as an artist. You know, you got a lot of people that feel entitled to your success on their time frame.
Fats put Big U on his pockets. Damn. Big U tried to take off on Nipp, and Fats took off on Big U and set him on his pockets. In front of everybody. A week later, Fats was out of here. Think somebody might have shot him. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, the internet finna be in an uproar about this.
Since Nipp, Black Sam, and Fats started moving, Big U knew he would have a problem extorting them the way he could others, is what's being said. Once Nipp started moving on his own, things began to happen to his store.
That's what they mad at. Better keep giving us them discounts. I Black Superman. No, y'all can't do that to me. You just stop trying. We don't fuck around and have fun. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? You're right. Somebody got out there. Well, why they taking images? That's bullshit.
Fuck them anyway, Nipsey. Keep your head up, homeboy. They just mad at you, homeboy.
Yeah, they got him on there.
They just mad at you.
That's okay, baby.
They just mad at you.
You'll be out in a few hours. I was just going to say, bell right there. Yeah, they just want some of your change, my nigga. It is what it is. They crafty. Hello, let's just follow tramps. Traps. Straight bullshit. Y'all already know this nigga be out in an hour. It'll take y'all longer to book than it'll take to get that money together. You got a lawsuit, Betty. Get you some rest. We'll see you tomorrow.
Police raids on a consistent basis seemed to happen once he began to have tensions with Big U. Regardless of his situation with Big U, he still remained focused on the music, even when Big U took his equipment back. He claims he did it so that everybody could use it. Nobody in the hood had the potential or work rate as Nipp. Since he couldn't control Nipp anymore, he assumed once he took the equipment, Nipp would need to come back begging. Big U is the reason Nipp was in limbo when it came to his career. But he continued to work. He got his brother to match him up. He sold his car and Alpina rims. He was totally in. December 21st, 2010. Nipsey would release You Don't Have a Clue, which is serving Big U his walking papers. He was still under the production deal and wanted out. Big U went to the studio where Nipp was to confront him about the song. He asked Nipp if the song was about him. Nipp said yes. There are multiple stories on what happened, but what we do know is something happened.
First fallout, when he first got Nipsey signed, Nipsey come back, was a fallout. They went down, there was a fight, rumble happened. I believe Big U knocked Nipsey out. Black Sam comes out, fires 3-4 shots in the air. He's fresh out the penitentiary.
So he was like, we're gonna have to go downstairs and get down, right? So they in the middle of the street. And Nipp kept just bouncing around. You get what I'm saying? Not trying to get hit or whatever, trying to fire on him. So he was like, all right, cuz I'm gonna have like my little homies come because nigga, I don't have to win for this, right? So the next day, TD and them came and he was just doing some bullshit or whatever like that. So they try to come, Big U tell Nipp, get in the car, you gonna go on Bryanhurst and you gonna get down, right? Black Sim like, you ain't taking my brother nowhere. You get what I'm saying? And he tried to pull him out the car. When he tried to pull him out the car or whatever like that, Nipp looked over and he was like, listen, long as you don't, me, we good. So he was like, nah. So Fats, right? My homie Fats.
You talking about another situation?
I'm talking about the same situation.
The situation that's happened is when Black Sam busts in the air.
No, he did bust in the air, but Big U tried to fire on Fats.
Fats put him on his pockets.
And then Fats put him on his pockets.
I got a call on that one.
He put him on his pockets, right? So, Fats is like 5'4", but he was stocky. You get what I'm saying? So he put him on his pockets. They try to rush Nipp. You get what I'm saying? Like Paul's and all of them, right? And so Black Sam busts in the air. When he busts in the air, Big Useless.
There were 2 physical altercations involving multiple individuals, which caused hospital visits and arrests to be made. Big U would like people to believe that there were no hard feelings behind these situations. Because you choose to come to my shop and confront me a second time at my place of business, causing his brother Black Sam to need $1 million bail, there's going to be some tension. This is when it became apparent there was a power struggle in the rolling 60s. January 19, 2014, Nipsey's bus was shot up in Chicago. The rolling 60s had stolen 300 bricks from Mexicans. Nipsey had nothing to do with it, but he was attacked over it. One of the guys people blamed when Nipp passed away was there when it happened, and he saved Nip's life.
A lot of grief for running away, like, you know what I'm saying? Because like you, Sean Cotton, whoever's around you, like Charles White, I know you helping his career. Nigga, if somebody get to blowing at you and that nigga run off on you, the nigga like me gonna look at you like, damn, that's not honorable. Because that man, he your lifeline. And he save him, do something, nigga. So, but I'm like, I know he was going through a lot in LA with real niggas on his ass about that and this and that. But I'm like, well, they missed the part where he really did that shit in Chicago. When they pushed Nipp on the bus, locked him on the bus. We had drove off because we really was securing them that night. They had one security, they was on the tour. He was on that $100 tape tour shit. And 6 Mexicans with Crenshaw shirts on came behind. Matter of fact, at the concert, Sean, it was fucking 100 Mexicans with colorful Crenshaw shirts on the south side of Chicago. I'm already like, man, what's to this? And we went backstage. Nipp like, man, hey, keep y'all head up because, some shit went on back home. He did, and that's how I could say it. It's the 60s or whatever, they had robbed the motherfucking cartel for like 300 keys of heroin. And they know he traveling and this and that, so he was an easy target. They was gonna kill him to hurt the 60s type shit. You see what I'm saying?
This is when it became apparent that there was a power struggle in the rolling 60s. When Nipsey and YG would do a song together, they wanted to do a video. Nipp was welcome into the Treetops Pyro neighborhood. Word got back that someone wasn't happy about YG coming into the 60s, and they wanted to set Nipp up. Weren't able to do it because of the amount of love that Nipp had in both sections. They got the video done and put it out January 21st, 2013. Before his death, Nipp would do the rollout for his Victory Lap album with Big U by his side. But when you look closer, it looks like a show of strength. The Rolling 60s have members in NYC and New Jersey. You could see them in his music videos in Brooklyn. Then Nipsey would do his last video, Higher, featuring DJ Khaled. There were issues with someone over Khaled being allowed in the hood. I can't say who the person is, but I don't think the friction will come from a different gang because Nipp was a factor in his area. The only person that held that kind of weight would be Big U. Nipp would receive death threats and extra security, and cops were hired. The video was done and released after Nipp's death. Things get tricky when it comes to the death of Nipp. I don't like rumors. I like credible people. Some credible people that know them feel Big U had something to do with it. I didn't think much of it until I saw this clip.
Did you know him?
Not at all.
Hey, listen, I got this right now. Police didn't do it. Club security did. Hey, T.I. Who did it? T.I. Police didn't do it. T.I. Who did it? Who did it? Club security did it. Who did that to you? Who did that to you?
When someone will lie about something small, they will lie about something big. But I can't understand him not wanting to be close to the situation, especially having the power Big U had. It looks bad. Just because you have issues with someone does not mean you had them unalived, even if you have the power to do it. In 2021, Big U sent Rayshawn Williams to Las Vegas to go to the studio. In federal paperwork that claims Big U had a diss song made about him that caused Big U to take Rayshawn into the Las Vegas desert and unalive him. They also claim him and an associate, Bear Claw, removed cameras from the studio and told people at the Airbnb not to speak about Rayshawn Williams. Rayshawn used to live with Big U. There's a rumor he had a gay relationship with Big U's son. That's why he allegedly unalived him. But that reason is not in federal paperwork. Which is another reason I personally believe it to be a rumor. He was supposedly kicked from living with Big U for stealing a gold chain. Rayshawn's mother feels like he had something to do with his unaliving. It is said he didn't contact her about the death of her son. The boy also played on Big U's football team that he coaches. March 27, 2025. The feds released a 43-count criminal indictment.
Sarah, we begin with that South LA man who the feds say used taxpayer money and donations to fund gang activities. In the past hour, we've learned that Eugene Henley Jr. and Brian Mejia were taken into custody. Henley Jr. is a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips, according to the FBI. But in recent years, he worked in entertainment and ran a youth charity that the acting U.S. attorney now says was a front for his criminal enterprise. NBC4's Camilla Rambaldi live in downtown L.A. with the very latest developments on this. Camilla?
Now, hi, Colleen. 19 defendants in total in connection to this criminal enterprise. At least 2 of them appeared in federal court earlier today. And now, as you mentioned, Eugene Henley and another fugitive are now in custody tonight in connection to this case. A known community activist and founder of a youth nonprofit in South LA now facing federal charges.
A career criminal known as Big U.
Eugene Henley is accused of being a longtime leader of the Rolling 60s Crips street gang. Federal prosecutors say Henley ran a criminal enterprise and is accused of a number of crimes, including racketeering, human trafficking, fraud, and the 2021 murder of a musician.
He has maintained the image of an entertainment industry entrepreneur running a music label, and of somebody who gives back to the community here in Los Angeles. The facts alleged in the complaint paint a very different picture. It is one of a murderer, a thief, a liar.
Federal authorities say there are other alleged gang members facing charges they say are connected to the criminal enterprise. A number of arrests were made this week. These sketches show 2 defendants, Sylvester Robinson and Mark Martin, in federal court Wednesday afternoon.
4 of the 19 defendants were already in custody, and 10 defendants were taken into custody in the last 24 hours.
Court documents also state Henley fraudulently obtained funding from the city of Los Angeles through the Gang Reduction Youth Development Foundation. Henley was the founder behind the nonprofit Developing Options that helps support at-risk youth.
Mr. Henley duped the county of Los Angeles by running a nonprofit named Developing Options, which was set up to pull youth out of the gang life and promote anti-gang solutions. Yet Mr. Henley continued to personally orchestrate violent gang activity that impact our communities.
Court documents state Henley had drawn hundreds of thousands of dollars for his own use.
Mr. Henley is accused of embezzling donations made by celebrities, professional athletes, and businesses to his charity.
Federal prosecutors say Henley could face a 20-year prison sentence if convicted on the racketeering charges. And we have learned this evening Eugene Henley and Brian Mejia are expected to be in court tomorrow. In downtown LA, Camilla Rambaldi, NBC4 News.
Government and tax records show millions of dollars poured into the nonprofit the feds say was at the center of this criminal enterprise. Our investigative reporter Eric Leonard joins us now with more on how this organization was being funded and where all this money was going. Eric.
Oh, hi, Michael. Well, the most surprising discovery here is that the nonprofit called the Ex-Offender Fellowship Network, which was also known as Developing Options, a pair of nonprofits that the city says were essentially one entity, were facing suspensions from state tax authorities. The city of LA has been paying these nonprofits millions of dollars in recent years, and the amounts have only gone up. The California Franchise Tax Board issued a suspension notice in April 2024 for one of the nonprofits operated by Eugene Henley Jr., who federal prosecutors in LA announced Wednesday faces racketeering and corruption charges for allegedly misusing money meant for the city's gang intervention efforts. Henley's most recent contract with the city shows a payment of nearly $800,000 due in July 2024, the final installment of a 4-year agreement that paid his groups more than $2.2 million for intervention. Henley, seen here in a red carpet photo, began forming the nonprofits in 2009, according to state records. They began receiving city gang intervention funding as far back as 2011. Between 2018 and 2023, LA Controller payment records show Henley's groups received around $500,000 a year. Then, in 2023, a significant increase, that followed then-Mayor Eric Garcetti's efforts to increase funding for intervention work after the rise in violent street crime that followed the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking at the tax records for the Ex-Offender Fellowship, which includes the city money and private donations, you can see its revenue went from around $500,000 a year to nearly $800,000, then to nearly $2 million for 2023, the last tax return available. Where was the money going? The tax returns show while Eugene Henley Jr. was paid $95,000 as president and director, nearly all the money collected went to compensate unnamed top staff members, including corporate officers, directors, and trustees. According to the criminal complaint, Henley diverted much of that money to his personal bank accounts, and the feds say he allegedly pocketed tens of thousands of dollars in donations intended for the groups, including a $20,000 contribution from an NBA All-Star. Federal authorities say in addition to all of that, they believe that Henley evaded taxes by not reporting all of this income, was also allegedly involved in a scheme to get a home loan that he wouldn't have qualified for otherwise. We asked the city of L.A. for its response about its oversight of these gang intervention programs. The mayor's office sent us some remarks a few minutes ago. It said the city has strict oversight in place, but they say the allegations made public today show that there was a sophisticated scheme to thwart that kind of oversight. Live in the News Operations Center, I'm investigative reporter Eric Leonard, NBC4 News. Back to you.
And with Henley Jr.'s influence reaching across the community and entertainment industry, there are questions tonight about where else his network might spread. NBC4's Conan Nolan joins us live from the News Operations Center to continue that part of our coverage tonight. Conan?
That's right, Colleen. When it comes to public money, this could not come at a worse time. Remember, state and local governments, including the city of L.A., are looking at a major budget shortfall. They normally ask Washington for help. This news is not going to aid that effort. It was just yesterday on the south steps of City Hall when Mayor Karen Bass touted the success of publicly funded anti-crime community groups. A message to Washington not to cut out federal grant money for the mayor's signature effort at fighting gang violence.
Through our Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program, also known as GRID, we are directly addressing gang violence through intervention, prevention, and community engagement services.
But according to the U.S. Department of Justice today, not all of that money was going to reduce gang violence. Federal authorities say self-described community activist Eugene Henley, also known as Big U, received $2.3 million from the city over 5 years for gang intervention efforts. Money prosecutors say instead went into drug trafficking, fraud, even murder, and Henley's own bank account.
A criminal enterprise where hundreds of thousands of dollars were siphoned off that should have gone to charitable purposes, gang reduction, gang intervention.
The news comes exactly at the wrong time for those trying to halt the evisceration of federal spending by the Trump administration, and most specifically billionaire Elon Musk. While crime prevention grant money is a tiny fraction of the overall federal budget, it helps with the messaging from the White House, says Jessica Levinson, former chair of the Los Angeles Ethics Commission. She teaches election law at Loyola Law School.
Is it possible that this becomes an example for Elon Musk to point to? I think at this point, everything is possible. Everything is on the table, saying, look at this terrible use of your taxpayer money. That's generally a winner for people who want to reduce federal funding and federal spending.
And it's not just the issue of gangs, but also of homelessness. Today, the Los Angeles City Council voted 13-0 to try to track the money they get from the city and over to nonprofit groups. One member of the council saying that nobody at City Hall actually knows how many of those community groups go into homeless encampment areas to help or how many beds are filled every night. I'm Conan Nolan, NBC4 News.
They say when you are being investigated by the feds, they actually tell you. So I'm assuming he was aware. When it comes to how I feel about Big U's case, public opinion matters. I don't like how the legal system does things that are blatantly illegal, like tainting the jury pool, allowing the media to say things that aren't true. The Diddy case is a case that I see that it has happened to. When it becomes blurry, what is gossip and what is the individual being charged with? Once people see you in a certain way before you have had a chance at a fair trial, how is that a fair trial? See, I have a problem with the court of public opinion. I also have a problem with the American justice system. One is incredibly stupid, while the other is ridiculously corrupt. They wield a devastating power not for justice, but for the interests of a particular group. So that's always on my mind when a black man is in front of the justice system. If he is who they say he is, if those phone taps are true, if he extorted people and bullied people out of money, he should have been dealt with. I hate a thief. I dislike people who take from others just because they can. But you're gonna have to take it. If we both live, I hope you needed it. Because I don't want to be killed over things that I can get back. I understand when ribs are touching though. I dig it. Sometimes it gotta go down. Baby's hungry. Women in the house need pads. I've been there. But extortion on people in the same boat as me on a daily is different. If that's who he was just an old nigga in a younger nigga way. Never be that guy. I remember old niggas standing in my way. They knew I was one of the smarter ones, and they tried to use me. Not to make money with me, but to make money off me. I didn't mind following the leader. Once I see I know more than you, I'm not following you. Some old niggas have a problem following a young leader. An old nigga should know when to fall back. He don't seem like the type. I could be wrong, but if the stuff that's being said is true, I'm right. You don't cheat a homie in a contract. If y'all working together, he knew it was illegal to double dip in a contract. It's illegal in television, sports, and the music industry. Someone thinking about the team and not just the money wouldn't have stayed being a manager knowing you can't help in that area. He wanted money for stuff he couldn't do. Instead of being happy with the 25% production deal you had from his publishing, he split a separate 20% management fee with someone else, turning his 45% of Nipsey's income into 35%. That's a proven fact.
I was looking for artists. TD told me to go get Nipp. I went and seek Nipped out of all the people I already been interviewing and talking to, and he was the shining light. He was the diamond in a pile of whatever. He was a diamond. Let me respect to my other homies. He was a diamond in a pile of other diamonds, but he was a bigger diamond. He was a shine.
Yeah.
He was, and then
he was the VVS.
He was the VVS.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we had made a couple of moves and was trying to move through a couple of doors, and I vastly found out that I couldn't go through these doors. So that's when I went and got Steve Lobel. And I went and got Steve, let Steve hear the music. Steve felt the same way I felt about the music. And I was like, boom. So I signed Nipsey to Unique Music, to my to Aramis Astrodome, to my label, to Unique Music. And then Steve was 10% management and I was 10% management because it didn't make no sense for us to go get another manager.
Right.
And so we started pushing on that. So I signed him to it. It was signed to a 10-year production contract, which started in 2009, which would end 2019.
Crazy.
Hello. But I ain't tripping off of that because, you know, it is what it is. But I do have that. You know what I mean? So,
wait, so your deal with Nipsey was 10 years?
It was 10 years.
It was a 10
year, 25% of publishing to Aramis Astrodome.
Oh, wow. So 09 to 2019.
09 to 2019.
So technically, Victory Lap.
Hello.
Okay. Wow.
I don't need to hear anything else about how he handled business other than I didn't like it. I will leave the rest up to you. It's that dirty toothpaste. One more thing. Black old niggas have a saying that's bullshit. The game is to be sold, not told. It sounds good because it rhymes. That's it. Meanwhile, other races pass down knowledge. Listen to the dysfunction of that way of thinking. While you have a white young man, you have an old white man that will explain everything that he can possibly explain to that white young man so that he can be prepared for the future. The same with the Asians And the same with the Latinos. I've seen Latinos pass knowledge down to their youth. Meanwhile, in the black community, you have that saying. It's bullshit. Never keep knowledge from your youth. You put these young men under your wing and you tell them everything that you can, from your success to your failures, so that he can see a better way. If you can't lead him to victory, give him the best advice you can, and maybe you should follow him, because he has new eyes. We have old ones. Know when it's time to fall back.